the rainforest. The tablelands behind is the amazing agricultural area leading to mining areas and further into the interior. A big hub for people, and it's a really nice, easy place to live. You know, a bit like Vancouver Island in some ways, you know, not so many people. But any one day or night, we have about 10,000 visitors from all around the world. And Margaret's going to come and see me, I hope. Silence on that?
Hopefully. We're working on it.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. We watched a movie about a dog named Red Dog.
Yes.
Heard that?
Yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah.
A true story. And it actually took place in Western Australia, which is about the equivalent of you going to the East Coast to beyond Montreal and all those things, and or Washington State, not Washington State, Washington DC. So it's a long way from us. That red dirt and red dog type of situation.
It was a cute
but
movie.
It's a wonderful movie.
Yeah, it was really good. That at the end.
Watch it a few times.
Yeah, it was good.
Hey, Amanda. All right.
Well, I guess I don't have to remind you to record. We're already doing that.
Yeah, well, she's telling interesting stories, so I thought I'd just go ahead and hit the go button.
Okay, so well, just when the time comes for the formal stuff, but in the meantime, US people from the US and Canada come to Cairns quite a lot, and they usually do Cairns, Sydney, Melbourne, and sometimes Uluru, which is in the centre of Australia, which has a huge, great rock, and it's quite a fascinating area. Our country has had a really bad summer, as you probably know, with the bushfires and things like that. But in North Queensland, where I live, we have not been impacted at all by that. So now this coronavirus will set our economy back, our local economy back, because not only do we receive a lot of tourists, but we also send a lot of produce direct to China, including amazing fish like red emperors, and they're grown especially for the market, the Chinese market. So people are feeling a little fragile, and 1 in 5 jobs in Cairns is tourism related. So yeah, well, let's see what happens. Of course, we don't really want the virus either. So I guess you're not having much impact in your area?
Not really.
Had our 12th day. Not a lot. Whereas
Well, that's good. Oh, what have I done? Okay. Well, I can see me now. Oh, you're back. I was going to say, I thought I'd done something.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, David.
Hello.
Hi, David.
How you doing?
All right.
Hey guys, I'm still in the car, sorry.
Yeah.
Why? Do you not like your car?
No, I'm just getting back from a golf mentoring session with a bunch of vets. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
I want to get.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't like
Well,
people in traffic.
Yeah. Well, don't come here to Miami because you get a lot of that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I bet last weekend you had double.
We did. It was insane. Yeah. Well, everybody, welcome. I still haven't gotten the bell, so we're bell free tonight, and we can all be the bats in the belfry. And I'm gonna let Linda introduce our speaker for the evening. So if you go ahead and do that, then we'll.
Well, this is Sue, wherever she went. She's there somewhere. Susanne Ray. She does the world's greatest meal to raise money for polio. I got to be her aide for our district conference in District 5050. I don't remember how many years ago that was. 4 years?
16, I think.
In 16, yeah. She loves my
Go.
lurid green Jeep. So she's going to talk about what she's doing and how we can help her accomplish it.
Yeah, that's great. So my sort of Rotary career started about 27 years ago when I was the first woman in my club. And it was really embarrassing. Every week I was winning the raffle. So it wasn't very popular with the guys. So I said, how about I run the raffle and I don't take part in actually buying any tickets? And that was accepted. And so my fundraising career started there. I've really been a fundraiser most of my time in Rotary, not to say I haven't done anything else, of course I have. But at some point I was attracted or headhunted to be in the foundation team to be the annual programs fundraiser. Now that was in 2010 when we were just starting the new foundation model. And at 2013, I didn't want to leave the team because I was really enjoying it. And so they decided I should be the district polio chair. And that appointment absolutely changed my life because I decided to branch out. We live in a very big district. I know you live in vast areas of the world, but we're a state, a territory, and a third world country. And I wondered how I could reach people to raise awareness and funds for polio without actually being there. So I hit on the idea of a Facebook fundraiser and called it the world's greatest meal to help end polio. Just about at that time, I went to England and spoke to a PDG friend of mine called Mukesh Malhotra, and he agreed to help sort of with his contact launch this idea. And so we set up a group, and within a very short time, we had a logo, we had a lot of people in the group, and eventually we started having what we call meal events. And what they are is, you know, anyone can just have a cup of coffee with anybody else, or Margaret and I had an amazing time. She drove me to Canada for lunch, and so we had a world's greatest meal. And as long as you give above $10 US direct to the Rotary Foundation, that counts. And the way we keep track of it is by asking you to sign up on our website, wgmeal.com, and then tell us what you did and send photos. So that then also goes back onto Facebook. And we have this huge tracking sheet, which is a very complicated affair. And we send this every week to the Rotary Foundation Polio Fund. So they, you know, none of the money that we raise is touched by us. It's all sent direct by the donors, and they get their Paul Harris credits either to the club or personally, depending on how they send it. So the idea took off, and coincidentally in 2014, the convention was in Sydney, and Rotary International did a blog about me, completely unexpected to me. And I arrived there and people started to talk to me, you know, oh, you're that woman in the blog, so to speak. And my first invitation to speak overseas was in the USA, in Virginia. And I was just amazed. I also got invited to go to India, which ended up being India first just because of the timing. And from then on, I started traveling around the world, speaking about the idea of raising money through having fun and having fellowship with other people. And we started to raise some quite serious money. And so the Rotary Foundation and the people in Rotary International were happy, and so was I. So eventually we got a team of people in different countries. And so we have coordinators in Canada, USA, India, Pakistan, where else do we have them? Brazil and Turkey. And they do, you know, they encourage people locally. Now, if you want to interrupt me and ask me something, that's fine as we go along. Okay? Yes? I can't hear anybody else. Hope you can
All
hear
right,
me.
we're all muted, so we don't get any feedback, but thank you. For...
Okay. Okay.
There you go.
I wondered if anyone else was there, or you'd have all
I
vanished.
know it's a little disconcerting when you're doing a presentation and there's no reaction at all.
Yeah. Okay. So then I started traveling, and I got absolutely amazing offers. I might add that I paid for all my own airfares and other things, but I got a lot of hospitality. Like I stayed with Margaret, so she fed me and took me to Canada, and you know, I had a lot of advantages through this idea. We earned lots and lots more money for Rotary, and so when I became well popular with the Rotary Foundation, and they asked me to speak at the convention, which was a great honor in Seoul. But I must say it was a great honor, but one of the most terrifying things I've ever done in my life, to be faced with 20,000 people in an auditorium and having a script. And I hate having a script. Who wants a script? I want to just talk. Anyway, it happened. And I also spoke at the polio breakouts in 2 conventions, and that meant that I got further invitations. One of those invitations that also really changed my life was to go to Pakistan. And everyone told me I was crazy. My family will hardly talk to me, but I can tell you it was an amazing experience. And the real Pakistan is nothing like you would think. I think we probably have more trouble in, you know, lots of other places than they do. They're really quite a peaceful people, partly due to religion because there's no drinking, and you don't get the same amount of litter that you get in India, and there's certainly no cows wandering around. So it was a great opportunity to go and speak at the World Polio Day seminar that they have every year. So I also did camps. Well, they call them camps, which means occasions where Rotarians set up tables and things in places like the zoo. And so I met lovely camels and lots of people, and vaccinated lots of children, and that was an amazing thrill. That's really one of the thrills of my life. Along the way, just on a personal note, I met a young man in Dubai, and now we're married. You know, he's a Rotarian, and we both live in Australia now. So, you know, there are benefits of putting yourself out there in a different area from your normal hometown, where, you know, you're just Susanne, or you're just Linda, or you're just whoever, and actually traveling and meeting different people. The polio problem, especially in Pakistan, is a real drama. And I noticed today on Facebook that Holger Nack is there, along with Aziz Memon and Imran Khan, all in the same picture. And they are actually, you know, I don't know, you know, only through personal contact can you really emphasize that we must get this done. It's a very difficult country to travel in, apart from the, you know, there's millions of people in quite a small country, but it also has difficult topography, and this is one of the issues. The small mountains that adjoin Pakistan and Afghanistan, and then also China and Iran, are very difficult to reach, you know, to try and get to all the children. So World Health teams are funded by Rotary, and UNICEF teams, to a lesser extent, go into these places and try to get every child, but obviously they're not, because there's still infections occurring. So we say migration is a problem because the tribes, particularly the Pashtuns, wander around, and if they've got poliovirus in their people, they're depositing that. Migration, so, is a big issue. Malnutrition is a big issue. And I'm really not saying that the children there are hungry in the way that the sub-Saharan children are. They're not. But they're fed such poor quality food that they're not always strong enough to retain the vaccine. And so you can imagine, and it's happened to me, giving a child 2 drops of vaccine and they vomit it back, or they take the vaccine and then they're running to the loos. So they've excreted the vaccine, and usually the loos aren't that amazing. So they're depositing this poliovirus again and again for other children to pick up. This is the malnutrition, the wandering tribes, the migration, I think are the biggest challenges to actually knocking this over in these countries, which we seldom go and which are, facing poverty challenges in extreme. And then we've got Afghanistan, and really what goes on in there is very hard to ascertain. But they had fewer cases this year than Pakistan, which, quite frankly, I'm not sure that I believe, but that's the official numbers. So I know a few people have joined because some things keep flashing up on my thing. Anyway, so what I'd like you to do is to think about having a meal with your friends, and all of us have at least got one friend, so we can have a cup of coffee and we can sign up on a World's Greatest Meal website and donate a minimum of $10 US. Then we'll add you to the track sheet and we'll publicize your efforts with photos in our groups on Facebook and pages, which the idea of that is to encourage other people to do the same. So talking about encouraging, we know that locally to Margaret, sorry, not Margaret, to Linda, there is a fantastic guy called Bill Gates, and he's a big player in the polio game. And he donates $2 for every $1 you donate. So just for instance, if you donate $10 US, he will donate 20. And with that $30 US, we can fund 50 vaccines for the world's poorest children. And this goes all over the world. It doesn't all go to Pakistan. It goes to Somalia, it goes to Libya, it goes to Nigeria, goes to Afghanistan, India, to places where sometimes the governments can't keep up with the needs of the vaccination regime for their countries. So that's what I'm asking you to do. I think it would be a great idea if you ask me some questions, because I've probably got 4 years of stories and I can't possibly tell you them all, but I'd like to know what you want to know about polio or about anything else that's relevant. Thank you.
I'm curious, Susanne. I sent an article from National Geographic to Linda. I was an Arabic linguist and I was a counterterrorism analyst when I was cool. I'm not anymore. But one of the things that we saw was the backlash because the doctor who gained access to bin Laden's compound went under the of doing polio vaccines. And I was wondering if while you were in Pakistan, you had heard any of that feedback from the locals.
Absolutely. It's all the back of mind. Although we have to convince them that, really it was not, the CIA have apologized, but they set polio eradication back 5 years or 10 at least. There is distrust about the vaccine. A lot of people think that we're trying to sterilize their children. A lot of people think they're trying to poison them, and it's just not true. But how to deal with rumor and how to deal with ignorance is very difficult.
I'm curious. We in the States and anywhere else where there's prolific internet usage, we deal with the anti-vax movement. And I wonder in those more remote, less internet connected countries if they have, you still have the word of mouth rumor. We call it rumor intelligence. Goes about, but I wonder if it's more or less prevalent that anti-vaccine.
Well, I will say that the vaccination rate in Pakistan is pushing 95%, which is high compared to, say, Vancouver Island, which was 68% when I was there, admittedly a couple of years ago. But I believe it's not that much different now. sometimes people seem to think it's fashionable to be anti-vax, but that is usually amongst the supposedly better educated people, and the really, I hate to use the word ignorant, but the uninformed people who live in these villages, they don't see much of the outside. You know, they don't all have TV and smartphones and things like that and the internet. I've been to some villages and you honestly would think you were stepping back 200 years. You know, they're using camels, they're using buffaloes to plow the ground, they're living in one room, they have a central pump for water. The area is not always that clean, but the last village I mentioned, I've always been keen on camels, and they brought some camels to meet me, and they slobbered all over me and kissed me, and that was all very fun, and the villagers got a big laugh about it. And then I walked towards their area where they were going to serve me some food, and stepped right into a cow pat or some awful buffalo pat or something. It's quite revolting. So that caused a lot of laughter. But once all that had settled down, we sat down at the tables and I asked them if the polio team came. And yes, they come to this remote village in Pakistan. And they were all very proud to say, yes, their children did get immunized. So there is hope, but the anti-vax movement, again, have a huge, I can't speak about measles because that is just horrible what's happening with that too. Yeah, it's a big issue.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
We're usually more talkative than this. I'm surprised that everybody's so quiet.
Probably think I should be talking.
No, I think that you probably just answered everybody's question because you gave such.
Okay. Well, all I can say is, you know, the other thing I want to say is that the new theme about Rotary opens opportunities or whatever it is exactly, and the doors opening. You can get amazing opportunities through Rotary to do whatever you want to do. So if you had a particular passion about something, you can hop in, you can make a difference and use your connections like Linda, I will call her Margaret. Linda knew me years ago, suddenly decided I should bring into this meeting and meet you all. So, you know, Rotary has big advantages, I think, to do good in the world, and we just have to find what is our passion, and mine is polio. Okay, I'll just tell you something that's breaking news. My husband, Nauman, he had heart surgery in early November, and he's well now. And I've been invited to go to London and to meet Mark Maloney there and other people, and to go to a gala dinner and to go to the Houses of Parliament. Wow. And then I'm also doing some guest speaking in London. And after that, I'm going back to Pakistan, where I'm going to be the chair of the End Polio Committee for the district conference. Well, this is the plan. Plans in Pakistan can be flexible, but that's my aim. I'm to get there. I'm going first of all to Islamabad, which is the capital, where we used to live. And we lived there on and off for 3 years. And then I went to London one day to go and do a tour in the north of England as a guest speaker and finish up with their district conference. When I got to England, I became ill and was diagnosed with cancer. And that's why we don't live in Pakistan now. But I'm well enough I'm in remission and well enough to do the travel. So my doctor says, which hopefully he's right. And so I'm actually longing to go back to Pakistan and meet my friends, because I never say goodbye to them. And hopefully, well, I know I have opportunities to vaccinate, because one of my Facebook friends, and a real friend now, is putting on a camp at the Lahore Zoo, where usually we vaccinate about 4,000 children in one day. So all of this is amazing and lovely for me. And my poor husband has to say goodbye, stay at home, because he's a migrant And once you get to Australia, they don't want to let you out until you have permanent residence. So it's the choice that he either comes with me and doesn't come back or stays here. So he's staying here. So that's my up-to-date news. But you know, if any of you want to be Facebook friends, you will see my travels there. My timeline is 90% about polio. And I also have a page called Susanne Ray, Rotarian and Polio Advocate, which is, you know, all news about polio. And there's so much. And the other thing I didn't mention was that I had polio when I was 4, when I lived in England as a child. And so I don't walk very well. And this can be a bit of a drama. Sometimes I use a wheelchair, but not that often, except at airports, and they really are a savior. I can never manage to go around without those wheelchair pushers. So thank you to them. Well, that's all about me, and I'd love to hear more about you guys.
I just find that this whole idea of organizing a meal and, you know, putting together a couple of bucks and sending it off is such an elegant, easy, and wonderful thing. I just can't imagine how you came up with it, but it's fantastic. I was looking at your website and I'm absolutely flabbergasted by the whole idea. It's
good.
Really wonderful.
Thank you. And you know that we've raised about $10.7 million along with Bill Gates, of course. And it is an easy idea. And we are nearly pushing 6,000 meal events from, I've lost track of the countries. I think it's 72 or 80 countries now that are taking part. So and I'll tell you how I came up with it if you really want to know. I was also foundation chair of my club. So I went to a board meeting and I wanted to do an event on February the 23rd, Rotary birthday, which we call the Global Swim Marathon, which I was also involved with. And they said, no, we're not doing it. And I was really annoyed because I don't like to be told no. And so I went home and I'm thinking, what do Rotarians really like to do? So I'm sitting on the couch, you know, brooding and really a little bit angry. And I thought what they like to do is they like to eat, they like to drink, and they like to be with their friends. And so the world's greatest meal idea was born. And I went back to my club and said, well, I've got a new idea and I want you to put it through the board, please. And we are going to do this. And they accepted it on the proviso that I would do the work. And I said, yes, because a committee of one gets things done, and they do.
Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
And I've been very lucky. Huh?
The sad part is Pakistan had, I think, 125 cases of polio last year,
yes,
which is up considerably from the 20 that we had worldwide the previous couple of years. Any thoughts on what's going on there?
Yes, I've got one thought that there was a misinformation campaign run in Quetta, which is actually the province where Bin Laden was. The misinformation campaign took hold so much so that there were riots and, you know, a whole stack of kids missed out on being vaccinated. Thousands and thousands and thousands of children missed out. I also think that although Imran Khan is trying to do a lot with the government, that the change of government and change of personnel at the top didn't immediately help the campaign. There were 2 polio workers killed a couple of weeks ago in the northern provinces bordering with Afghanistan. And there is always fear around the polio campaign because I don't know why, but there's some people that don't want it to succeed. Now, when I'm traveling in Pakistan, depending where, I usually have a squad of 6 people with guns who could come along as well. It's quite disconcerting. And to be honest, you know, I think they attract people. They attract elements that you don't want. So this is not usually in the capital city like Islamabad or even Lahore or Karachi. I can probably get away there mainly with going unescorted. But if you go into rural areas, and if you're doing things like getting on buses to go and vaccinate children, you just don't know who is on that bus. Recently, 2 years ago, I was vaccinating children at the bus station in Islamabad. And this is a great crossroads because children come down from Afghanistan with their parents and they're looking for a better life economically in Pakistan. And they're funneling through this area. So the World Health workers were there and I went to be part of their daily activity of vaccinating children. And I noticed that the Rotarians with me were extremely jittery. And I said, what on earth is the matter? You know, have you had some problem? And they said, no, but you just never know. We're looking for the problem. And then as soon as we see the problem, you're out of there. You know what I mean? And that happens too quite a lot, that you're going somewhere and, you know, I could be going to this is when I lived there, going to vaccinate children in XYZ city. And suddenly we get a message and saying, sorry, we have to postpone. It's deemed not safe for you to come. So there is still this anti-polio sentiment, which goes along the line of the vaccine, you know, hesitancy. But it's more than that. It's more going back to bin Laden and the rumors and, you know, of infertility and things like that. So it is difficult. I hope I answered that sufficiently.
When you travel and you have armed protection, is that protection that you use from a private security force, or is that provided to you
by the Pakistani government? So sometimes you'll be traveling along, you know, with sometimes two teams, one behind your car and one in front, and then you've maybe gone 200 kilometers or something, and then they swap because they remain local. And then as you come into, like even to go to a university or something, they'll go in ahead and just check the whole area. Then they bring you out and put you wherever you're meant to be, talking in an auditorium, speaking with the vice chancellor or meeting the students. You know, they like to make sure that the foreigners are safe. And one other thing, Pakistan is the only country that I've applied for a visa where I have to supply my blood type. Anyway, I'm not scared, to be honest, because I'm pretty fatalistic. I mean, I can go out locally and get run over. You know, I can be in a car crash just around the corner. And, you know, I've been to Pakistan 7 times and for long periods, and I feel safer there, in spite of all this drama. In fact, sometimes I think that the guards maybe are attracting people to think, who's that, you know, right in the car, rather than if you just went quietly.
Weren't there a couple of healthcare workers shot in the last week or two?
Yeah, I thought I mentioned that 2 weeks ago in North Waristan.
You probably did.
Yeah, but you know, I was in Karachi, I think 2015 now, and we were taken to see the camps where the refugees or the internally displaced people live. They're horrible. And we had armed guards the whole time, and for the whole day seeing all these different things in Karachi. And a week later, those 5 policemen that looked after me were dead. They were shot by motorcyclists, and the motorcycle shooters, you know, who they often attack the police. They don't always attack the worker, but then obviously sometimes they do, but the police are also targets. It's a little bit depressing, isn't it?
When are you going to Pakistan?
The 23rd of March. I'm going to England next week, the 13th. So I'll be there for 5 weeks, doing my thing and seeing my daughter who lives there with 2 grandchildren. And then I'll be leaving to go via Dubai to Islamabad and be there for 3 to 4 weeks, yeah. 19th of April, I'm back. Inshallah, as we say.
Susanne, I'm curious, you know, as a girl and an Arabic translator, I had a lot of questions of people, you know, like, did you have problems? Did you get any pushback from men when you were trying to run operations, things like that? I actually never did in Iraq, ever. And I attribute it to a little bit of, you know, when it's the guys trying to translate for the guys, there's some bravado and machismo that happens there, and I never had to deal with that. Have you seen a difference in how people interact with you when you're on the ground, vice how they would interact with one of the male workers?
I think what I felt is an overwhelming sense of welcome. That people are really happy to see a foreigner who's prepared to come to their country to help. I haven't had any pushback, and I think perhaps in some ways it's an advantage, because as a Western woman operating in Pakistan, and I'm quite sure it's the same in Iraq, that they're so used to women who are more, who stand back more than a Western woman, and you would have experienced that. You'll be forthright. And I have to say, I really admire you if you can speak Arabic, because during my time, I became a Muslim, and I am absolutely hopeless at Arabic, and it's a big disadvantage. And I can't speak Urdu either. I can speak English. I'm nearly 77 years old now, and I'm not going to start learning these languages. It's just impossible. My brain is not coping with day-to-day things, let alone that. So
I can't do it. I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 this year, and I tried to learn Farsi fairly recently and realized that my brain doesn't have any sticky left. Nothing sticks to it anymore.
Okay, well, I have an excuse. Yeah. So, yeah, I do admire you. And I think, you know, going to these countries gives you an idea of what we have in our own countries. You know, like I've spent a lot of time in the USA and Canada, and we are very fortunate. We complain all the time that we haven't got enough, but we have a lot. The fact that we can go and turn on a tap and flick a switch, and usually the power is there and the water is there, is an amazing plus, isn't it?
I found a lot of times if I was having a hard time making inroads, because I was active duty Army, but when we got there, we ended up doing a lot more civil affairs type work. We were doing immunizations and rebuilding the water infrastructure and things.
Yeah.
That, you know,
useful things.
Yeah, helping the community, mostly the ulterior motive so they wouldn't shoot at us. But, you know, what I found that a lot of times if I couldn't make inroads trying to talk to the men and talk to the doctors who were in the area, if I found the right wife to speak to, it's kind of like, you know, you break through with the moms. If you could get the moms on board, they would talk everybody else into it. Is that something that you've seen in Pakistan as well?
No, I spent my life talking to men. And on the very, very rare occasions I found a woman I could talk to, often there was a barrier of language, because I just couldn't speak Urdu. I admit I just couldn't speak Urdu, and mainly they couldn't speak English. But we would smile at each other, and we would look inside the cooking pots and, you know, things like that. But I would have loved to have more interaction with the women. But the men, they were very free in talking to me. I don't know if it made any difference that I have a Pakistani husband, but, you know, and he's, you know, everything I thought that maybe I would find as a problem with having a Pakistani husband is not true. You know, they're very open, you know, they don't mind. Well, he doesn't mind me talking to anyone else. And very early on in our relationship, I said to you, if it's going to upset you, if a man puts his arm around me, we're not in the right relationship, because I find as a Rotarian that people hug me all the time, and I love it. And it doesn't matter what nationality they are, you know, they all do it. And I think it's amazing. And we do that, don't we? We're huggy people. So I was interested to hear about your experiences.
I think that we've all had different experiences. Mine is just most recent, I think. Looking around the group here, you've got people from a lot of different walks of life. Brian, who's up there with the workout equipment behind him, which is far too, you know, lots of props to you. Brian is actually a doctor. Yeah. So we have on tonight. You've got, yeah, everywhere. We've got a retired police officer, and there is still in the workforce. He's out in California. You know, so we do come from a lot of different walks of life, and we've had different experiences. Mine just, I'm talkative, and mine happened to track a little bit closer to you with the.
Can I just mention to Brian, because he mentioned that he is a doctor, that I've met so many amazing doctors in Pakistan and India, where I've also traveled extensively for the polio experience, and also with corrective surgeries, with helping with corrective surgeries, that I can't say enough about the doctors there. They freely give of their time and their money in the health camps through Rotary. And often you will find a club or a doctor is going to sponsor a camp and go to some remote village where they haven't seen a doctor in, I don't know, years and years and years. And one doctor will set up a diabetic testing area. Another one will have spectacles. Some will be GPs. We have, of course, the immunization area. And the big problem, of course, there as well as diabetes, and so diabetes testing. And I've seen some wonderful things when people have been diagnosed and people who've been given glasses, you know, reading glasses or seeing glasses, and for the first time they can see, and you know, really well. And it's just amazing. And all this is self-funded by the Rotarians themselves, and the Rotarian doctors are giving their time, sometimes their money as well.
One of our projects this year, and this is all the founder of the club and well, a couple of founders, but he's not here tonight, but Jerry Jackson put together a matching grant project for excuse me, South America, and we are taking eyeglasses, and we are matching.
Sorry, Brian. It's for Guatemala.
Guatemala, thank you. Yeah, I'm getting corrected already. And
no, but that's one of the wonderful things about being Rotarian, isn't it? That you can go to these countries, have that experience of being with the real people, not sitting in a 5-star hotel or 3-star whatever. You know, you can actually be with the people and see how they live and how you can actually make a huge difference to their health or their lives in some way.
Amanda is going to join us in our next trip in May. Jerry, I'm part of one of the interpreters that is going, and drivers, and I have done this already before. So it's going to be a great experience for Amanda to go with us. It's going to be fast paced, you know, 10 days is going to come and go. And then listening to you just encourages us more to continue this type of endeavors that we are, and of course, thanks to all the support that we get from our fellow Rotarians.
That's good. Now tell me, is Bob Mulcher in your group?
I'm sorry?
Is there a guy called Bob Mulcher in your club?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Okay.
Bob Muchler is actually in the Sacramento chapter. I think he's also part of IFMR, but not part of the E-Club. I've met up with him.
Okay, because he had a big event for Rotary for polio, where the motorcycle people went, and I think there was a donated motorcycle, and they raised a lot of money, you know. But to be honest, I don't mind. I don't mind if the events raise $10 or $100,000. You know, it's just that people can do something, and I think it makes it personal to Rotarians that they can just get involved in such a simple thing as a meal and become polio eradicators, because we can't all go to Pakistan or India or Nigeria, can we? You know, we just can't do that. And hardly any of us can go to Afghanistan, you know, because it just
our May event is coming up at Memorial Day weekend in the US, and that's going to be race for polio that we're doing.
Oh, well, I hope you sign up with us, and we give you some extra publicity. And we can, you know, also talk about the fact that, you know, we reached out to each other through the E-Club.
I have another what's coming up. I make also a polio ride at the 17th of April in the in the Ground Houston area.
Yeah.
Against polio. It's a ride against polio. Every year. It's my 5th year now.
Well done. Well done. And have a meal with a few friends after.
I will. Thank you.
And just sign it on, because you know all these things I think give people ideas. I mean, I'm not looking to make our project any more successful. That's already done. I want to stimulate other people to join in. That's what I want to do. That looks a nice drop of wine. I'm not allowed wine. Memories are made of this. Yeah. So, you know, everything you do, it might seem like a simple thing. One of our most successful coordinators is from Brazil. Her name's Claudette. And a lot of the events there are $10, $20, $30. But she writes enough of them to make Brazil the 3rd biggest giver in our fundraiser. So USA is top, then is India, and then Brazil. Just to give you an idea. So my friend is here with the jacket on, gazing into space. I can see him. Any more questions?
About
I'm
you,
happy
Scott.
to talk. Huh?
I think that's Scott that you're talking to. He gives us his,
Sorry.
well, he's still at work because he's 3 hours behind us.
California.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Looking around, I think we've got every time zone in the United States represented, and the contiguous United States represented in our group today. Maybe not.
Any Canadians? Any Canadians?
One. Yep. Got a couple of Bruce.
Because you're very
and
close to
Glenda,
Canada
yeah,
as
that's
the epicenter.
And
And is, welcome. And do you know Tanya Wolf? Is she part of your group? She's also a clean motorcyclist. Maybe another group over in, she lives just on the border near Detroit.
She lives in Windsor, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I've stayed with her, but that was a quick trip.
And Bob Moulter is an associate member of our group.
Okay, that's nice that I mentioned him, because he did have a significant event last year in 2019, which he signed up, which was great. Sometimes we can help publicize an event, but it doesn't mean to say your event will in fact get more people attending, because often they're very local. And unless you've got friends in that local area, they're not going to be going, are they? So for myself, the last event I had was on Christmas Day with the people that we were spending Christmas with, one of whom is a member of my team, and he is a polio survivor, actually in advanced stages of post-polio syndrome, completely in a wheelchair. And Nauman, my husband, and I went and stayed with him and his carer, whose name is Peter. And we had a fabulous week, and we did a few little things, events. And his great joy is to plan world's greatest meals. And he'll probably have about 12 in any one year. And some of them are huge, real significant events. And I really think it's good for people to have a purpose. If you're wheelchair bound, you can't easily get out. You can become a world's greatest meal organizer and, achieve a lot of things. Now that's my alarm clock going off to be here. Whoops, I've lost you now.
I can still hear you.
Oh, good. I don't want to press anything else, or I might go completely. So it was really nice of you to invite me to your meeting, and I've enjoyed chatting with you all and hearing some different experiences, especially from our lady who was in the army. I think that's very impressive.
Amanda.
And can speak Arabic. Wow.
Let's not overdo it. I have spoken. I wouldn't say that I can currently speak.
Well, it's like my French, German, Spanish, and Japanese, hey?
I told somebody today that my German I can get into, but not out of trouble. That's the
I
extent.
can help you guys with that.
All you need is a couple of days, that's all.
Beer and schnitzel, that's all you need in German.
No, no.
I'd Bahnhof.
But I can help you with that if you need a little bit more German input. No way.
I always need.
Yeah,
I need more German.
Oh well, we all have our home languages, and I'm glad you can understand my Australian.
My son is currently living in New Plymouth, New Zealand for the year, and he even in his texting he says different words now than he normally would. He keeps talking about the flat that he's living in with his mates. And I was like, "You mean the apartment with your friends? What are you talking about?"
Yeah, well, I lived in New Zealand, and New Plymouth is a really lovely area. If you get the chance to visit, it's really nice. And there's a direct flight from New Zealand to my hometown, so don't leave Cairns out of it.
Speaking of Australia, what's going on in Australia these days with the weather and the fires and all?
We're still facing some challenges. Summer will last about another month, but there's some reports of rain, and there has been some rain to help. The high temperatures and sometimes the storms sometimes spark the bushfires, which is really tragic. And a lot of Victoria, which is down the south of Australia, nowhere near where I am. I'm 3,000 kilometres away. And New South Wales and our capital, which is a man-made capital, Canberra, has also been badly affected. And some of these people are just facing the devastation. People like to live in the bush, there are roads, but there's lots of trees and things, and this has just proved very difficult because of the dryness of the undergrowth, and once there's a spark, it's just gone crazy. So we're in a repair stage, and some of those people will just be so traumatized. I think even watching it was horrible on TV, so traumatized by these bushfires. It's like being in a war zone, with all the fire.
All the animals as well, there's so many animals.
Yeah.
They have no way to go.
A lot of animals, they're saying huge numbers of animals were killed. Sometimes I think the animals are getting more money than the people, but, in the donations, but everyone is needing help. And the only organization I've been disappointed with is the Red Cross, because they've got something like $90 million and they're not handing it out very fast. And they're saying they're keeping some for the future. Well, I don't think that was the idea of the people that gave the money. The money should be spent now on the people that haven't got homes and are looking for rental accommodation and other things. Now, the government has given money as well, but it's never enough. You can imagine suddenly being with nothing. And, just the clothes you're standing up in, you need a lot of money. The government's given $1,000 per adult, I think it is, and $450 for every child in the family. But you still, to get into another home or move homes, or you haven't suddenly got a job because your place of employment was burned down. There's a lot of hurt.
Promotion.
Sorry, I was having a bit of a moment there trying to get something closed. My mouse is dying. So do we have any other questions for Susanne? What a wonderful speaker. I'm really excited to get this posted up and have it available for people who weren't here tonight. And Amanda, wow, what great questions. we're really lucky to have her coming up as our president this year. I'm looking forward to it. Anything's better than a medical student that's trying to get through medical school.
You say that. Ask Glenda about my responsiveness this week. I don't know if it's been any better.
I'd be really happy if you can tag me if you do anything on Facebook, or Linda can do that because she's my friend. You know, just because it's really important to me that the news about how you can help end polio keeps getting out there. You know, if it's by me being a speaker or spending an hour with you, it's been a lot of fun. Probably the terror part was me finding out about how to do Zoom, but I can do that now.
I just found you on the Facebook.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Did you send me a request? I've seen a couple of requests pop up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, when I'm off, I'll be very happy to accept, because there's all sorts of things popping up on my phone, you know, that nothing to do with what we're doing now, but some are. Scott Dennis Nelson, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, I just got a friend request from Scott Dennis Nelson that came up on the screen.
Good page.
Glenda
Such a common name, I throw the middle in. Yeah.
Glenda Jamison.
That's me.
Glenda.
Hey, Glenda. Wasn't it lovely to actually speak to somebody who's a Facebook friend and not just be typing?
Yeah.
This group is a terror on the interwebs, all of them.
Oh, I love it. I really love the opportunities you get through being connected in different countries. I think that's one of the amazing things, you know. Being born in, I was talking to Nauman last night about in 1963 when I left England to go to New Zealand as a young bride, obviously not his young bride, and we went on a ship for 6 weeks and then arrived in Wellington. And if I wanted to phone England, it cost £1 a minute, and the current rate of pay was £6 a week. So, you know, it was a bit of a drama. And otherwise, you just waited for a letter, you know, and that took another 6 weeks. And now we can just make such a difference, can't we, all over the world?
That's the real attraction to this forum, you know, with the meeting, is that we sort of transcend all of those barriers, which was the whole sort of thing about the joke with this is the first time we time traveled. I had actually thought about that, you know, not too long ago, because there is the international dateline, and I don't think we've ever had somebody in tomorrow before. So
that's interesting. I love it. Yeah.
So,
well, when
Linda,
I go to England, I gain a day. When I come back, I lose a day. So, you know, it all evens out.
So Linda, other than me butchering it, we talked in the chat a little bit about the speaker in 2 weeks. Will you just tell people about those questions we're looking for the speaker and help us out?
So Rachel from Heifer International is going to be the speaker, and she asked me this morning if you guys could write some questions, go out to the website and kind of look and see what they do, and then write some questions and just shoot them over to me and I'll get them over to her.
There's more about Heifer International in the a little piece that I put in the newsletter. If you want the link, you can go there and find that.
And then Brian, for the people who...
Probably a good idea to have a question brief. I should have asked for that.
Work in progress.
You did such a good job, Susanne. I was just going to throw out there too, the fairly small group that we have here, but Glenda put together emails today for all the people who are nominated for board positions. So please check your inboxes. If you were one of the people who was nominated, we need an answer back saying that you accept the nominations. And as soon as I think she gave them until, I'm going to speak.
8th of February.
The 8th, yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, to respond. And at that point, I'll put together another online survey that we can fill out for voting. I'll give you a second option as well that you can reply in an email. But so everybody just please check your emails. And if you've got one of those nomination emails, please respond to Glenda as soon as possible.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Will do.
And do you all really ride motorcycles?
Yes.
Almost all of us, although it's not a requirement to be a member of our club.
I was just intrigued.
So you are brought to welcome to be a member as an, you know, like, I love them and I want to be with them, something like that. So.
And Suzanne, we also have the option, if you're a member of another club, that you can become an associate member.
Oh, that's a
little bit different format, because we do know that, you know, it gives people a chance to get a Rotary meeting under their belt on Wednesdays. Wednesdays our time at 7 p.m., which I think is what, Thursday at 11 a.m. Is that right?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. here. This is Brisbane time.
You can join us and tell us all about tomorrow's news.
As long as I don't
And who won the ball game.
In politics, I think it'll be a good thing to stay away from that.
No, we just want to know who won the ball game.
Maybe I don't even know. Yeah, we are getting some traction with e-clubs here. My Nauman belongs to the e-club of Outback Australia, and they have the most fantastic shirts. So those of you who are my friends will see me wearing his shirt rather than my club shirt when I'm vaccinating children in Pakistan. So, you know, that'll be, you'll see the Outback Australia shirt. It's lovely. And then another friend that I mentioned who's in the wheelchair recently left his terror club, as I call them, and joined a passport club. And that seems to be quite a popular idea as well. So you do your own little community things, much as you do for the e-club. And then you just belong to this club called a passport club.
Well, we have arrived at the hour.
Yes.
I messaged Emilio to give us the 4-way test. I don't know if he saw it, so I'm going to put him on the spot. Did. Okay. So
so there you go. Number one, for the things we say and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it bring better will and friendships? And will be fun. Is the last one? Did I miss one?
I'm glad you got the 5th one in.
Oh yeah.
We don't miss the 5th one.
Rob was putting the card out, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
We say that at the end of our meeting, just so you know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
I want to thank everybody for coming. It was wonderful. Thank you very much, Suzanne. What a great topic and speech. And we will definitely have that posted up for people to see on our website. And everybody have a wonderful evening.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Everybody.
Good night,
Hey guys, thank you.